All right, so we're recording from Damien's house in the garden. The three of us around one table. Big achievement compared to, compared from last week. Just had coconut water. Okay, no alcohol till now, so we're all good.
Till now.
Weather's perfect, nice and calm, nice and chilled. And yeah, thank you all for coming through. It's nice to have us all here.
It is truly a beautiful day, and look forward to the conversation. No idea what we're going to be speaking about, but that's the beauty of it. I guess we'll just speak about whatever comes to mind. Chaos was a suggested subject, so maybe we can explore that. What do you think, Girish?
Yeah, it's been something on my mind since, every day I think about chaos actually, but it's something that came up quite a lot last week and this week also. And I really want to talk about it because I know that the three of us are quite successful in whatever we do, let's say. It depends how we define success, but I would say I'm successful because I'm living what I really wanted to achieve. So that's what success is to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ashley feels the same way. And Damien also, you really enjoy whatever life you're living right now, even with the challenges, all right? So if that's the definition of success for us, we are successful, let's say. And it's not been easy. We really had to go through chaotic moments, and we still go through chaos a lot. But when I went to dinner, I was talking to Ashley. I actually said something like, I actually enjoy the chaos. And I think I said it as a joke, but I really believe in it. I think I really enjoy the chaos, the anxiety, the tension it creates when you can't figure things out, when everything is against you. But then you manage to get over it. And then I think that's what gives that big enjoyment or happiness, which I think I really crave. So without the chaos, I would not be happy in that sense. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I have a question for you, Girish. What is it that you enjoy about the chaos most specifically? Is it just the fact of the unknown, or the fact of the understanding that chaos eventually always comes back to order? Or what would you define as your intention or appreciation of chaos?
I would say that chaos pushes you to be at your best, because you really need to push yourself to make sense out of reality when it doesn't make sense. I'm actually thinking about that famous Bruce Wayne line that reality makes sense only when you forces it to make sense. So I think that challenge where it pushes you to actually become better, otherwise you won't survive. That's what I really enjoy, because if you think about it, becoming better, that's what brings happiness to me. Trying to be a better version of yourself every day. So I think that's what I enjoy personally.
That's power, huh? That's beautiful. I mean, you wouldn't find a lot of people that would share that same principle that you have. I mean, a lot of people fear chaos quite a lot. So I think it's a very mature approach that you have on that. It's really amazing, because you recognize the benefit that actually chaos has eventually, when maybe most people don't actually understand the benefit that comes out of chaos and avoid it like the plague. And of course, it makes sense, right? It's the unknown. There's potential suffering involved. There's so yeah, I think it's a very mature approach. What do you think, Dee?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm understanding the concept of chaos, it's just that in any given moment, anything can happen. And that's what makes life quite exciting. So how I see it, and why, and I think chaos is a pretty cool concept, is just the fact that you can do what you can from your side and the rest you just let up to, chaos, in the sense of going forward, adding towards the probabilities of whatever direction it is that you want to experience. And, out of nowhere, if you keep pushing and working hard, as they say, in a certain direction, next thing you know, something can happen that really can open up a huge door, and that can happen at any time. And that's how I see chaos to be something quite exciting, really. So yeah, that's kind of my view of chaos. So that makes life more interesting.
It's amazing. I think from my perspective, I'm relating into my day, for example. I was telling Damien early on how I've been putting out a lot of fires today at work. And that essentially is chaos. You know, when you expect something to go one way and it completely ends up going completely the other way, and you have to deal with that. To me, what comes to mind is one word, and that is trust. It's really the ability to trust that, hey, my physical mind is not understanding why this is going on right now. It's obviously bringing up anxiety, and I could either choose to respond to it from a fearful perspective, or I can choose to respond to it from a place of trust and understanding based on actual data, you know, because my past and my life, there's been a lot of chaos, but it's always worked out. It's always come out better than I could have ever expected. So for me now, when chaos happens, it becomes easier to just trust that, hey, it's happening for a reason that I'm not aware of right now. And I'm just going to trust and let it unfold and play out. And 99.999% of the time, it always just ends up playing out better than I would have expected, or that it would have been before without the chaos. So I see chaos as a tool for the universe to align what needs to be aligned, basically.
Beautiful. It reminds me of another quote from the Joker in The Dark Knight, where he says that the only way to live life is without any rule, because it's chaos all around you. There's so much that the two of you have said, but I think what's really interesting is when I actually talk about having real data. And I think that's very important, because I've been thinking about it a lot recently. When you try to interpret the world, you may have certain belief system about the world, which makes you generate certain emotions about the reality which is happening to you, and it might not be real in that sense because it's based on your concepts. So the importance of using real data, what's really happening. Is that person talking to you, that person really dangerous? Or does that person really want, does that person have the right intent? Is the market right now not the right market for your business? Or is it your belief based on what's happening to the other company? So we really need to be objective. And I think reasoning is something human beings have compared to other entities, let's say, or we have it most developed, let's say. So we really need to use it. I think as human beings, we don't use our intellect a lot, or if we use it for wrong reasons. We don't use it for self-development. So to me, what I think is, if we really align our emotions with actual data, real data, so emotions with an objectivist approach, I think we'll be unstoppable. And I think that's what I do every time I run into trouble. I have certain emotions which are generated, and then I have my logic mind which overrides the emotions and then tells me, okay, calm down, shut up, sit down, and then let's look at the facts. Okay, what's really happening? Okay, let's sort this out. So I don't get overwhelmed because of my logical mind. I think I won't say one is more important. You can't just be logical about things, but I think we really need to find that equilibrium between those two, emotions and logic, because we need both, to be honest. You can't just be logical and you can't just be emotional. You lose either way. So we need to find that. Let's say that's the modern middle path, logic and emotions, which the Buddha didn't talk about.
Buddha. I wanted to just quickly check when you were saying, you know, like today in terms of chaos and how like everything putting out fires, but like when you were saying that, like I kind of get that feeling straight away of like, yo, what a great opportunity to kind of evolve in whatever it is that you're doing, because now you're having to deal with these fires. So now you can obviously you're in it and you're experiencing it and you're having to make the calls and deal with it. But realistically, like if you can objectively remove yourself and observe it all, what an opportunity to learn and realign to your, you know, that harmony, get back to that harmony, so that you can kind of allow another something else chaotic to align, and all of a sudden probably this afternoon you will realize how it all kind of alluded to something really positive in progressively moving the business forward. You know, so yeah, that's my 2
Absolutely.
cents on that point.
Nice. No, that's true. I mean, it totally is that, and I think I've definitely been practicing to recognize that as best as I can. And yeah, I really resonate with what Girish said with regards to emotion and beliefs. That's something that I've dwelled into quite a bit, maybe more than I should have, because I see the world that way now. That is just a set of beliefs, and that's what it is. But obviously, it's not just that. But Girish is right in saying that a lot of us make decisions and we make calls based on the beliefs we have that generate the emotions we feel, and obviously that brings out the thoughts we think. And the beliefs we have are often subconscious. They're not actually conscious. So when chaos arises, it's an opportunity to realign, like Damien says, and we have the opportunity to pause, to take a moment, like Gary says, shut up and sit down and listen. Because if you really sit down and you stop listening to your mind that's going at 100,000 miles an hour, telling you all the bad things that could happen, and you actually take a pause and you look into the emotion, you start to question, why am I feeling this emotion? What would I have to believe to be true for me to feel this in relation to this circumstance? Your mind will generally come up with a belief that's underlying there. And as soon as your mind comes up with a belief, you will actually realize that belief is not logical. It doesn't align with your logical mind. And that's also plays to what Gary said. So if you can align your logical mind with your emotional mind and marry them together to find the middle path, most often than not, human beings will be able to respond in the most productive, positive, and growthful way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And we are not talking about it as a theory also, I would say. We're talking about it because it's real. I mean, you can choose to believe that, chaos is not true. You can plan your life. And that's how society functions. I mean, for the majority of people. Yeah. By that age, you should be going to school, and then you should be having that degree. There's an age to get married, to have kids, and everything is planned, but it's a lot of nonsense, actually.
And it's planned so that you can bring you happiness, right?
Yeah. And that's the fatality of it, I think, because chaos is always here. So no matter what your plan is, it's going to mess it up. And that's why people are unhappy, because they plan too much.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that a lot. I was talking to a friend the last time, and we were talking about having midterm goals and long-term goals, all right? And then I was asked, what's my long-term goal? I said, I don't know. And I said, okay, look, I have 5 things I focus on, which I shared last time. Yeah. These are the 5 things which are very important to me. And I know deep inside that if I focus on these 5 things, I'm going to live a very happy life. I'm living it right now. And it's going to be a happy life afterwards, because these 5 things are very important to me, and they will always stay important. Now, whatever life throws at me, I don't know. I'm not going to get disappointed because I've got no expectations from life. But the thing is, the only skill I focus on is trying to adapt to whatever life throws to me. So if it punches me in my throat, I'm going to recover and then continue going. So I kind of expect these punches. And when they come, I'm not surprised. I take them on, suffer, and then I move on. So my ability to react when bad things happen is quicker compared to other people, because I'm kind of expecting those punches to come. When I'm meeting people, I'm already thinking about, the worst case scenario, something happens, what am I going to do? I'm already thinking about all those things.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm attracting them, but it's in my head somewhere.
Yeah. I think that's such a great way to kill expectations.
Yeah. I think how I was thinking about that is that I actually like, it's nice when these things come your way, because then things are coming your way. So it's like, okay, that's it's building me to where I need to be. Sometimes if things just happen the same every single day and you're always in the known, then it just feels a little bit boring. It feels a little bit stagnant. So sometimes when anything can happen, and we can view it as being punched in the throat, or we can view it as whatever it is, it's actually kind of meaningless. But the definitions that we give to it based on what we believe is it's whatever. So whatever it is, we just whatever. If it's work and you think it should go this way, maybe those fires are defined by you to be fires, but maybe those are just they are exactly what they need to be, regardless of fire or not. Fires are good because it burns down everything so that new stuff can grow again. So whatever actually comes our way, chaotically, non-chaotically, it's always up to us to define it in a way, because we give our life meaning. essentially there's no meaning to anything but the meaning you give it. So how I like to see it in my own life, whatever challenges come my way, it's always there to build me towards whatever it is I want to experience or meant to experience in this life. So yeah, regardless positive or negative, it's all neutral, but I give it the definitions that I want to feel and experience so that I can feel that way and radiate that into the universe and trust that it's all good vibes.
Out of the flow. Yeah, and that makes so much sense. I mean, life is obviously meaningless in and of itself, and I think that's a great gift that life itself offers us. You know, it's the ability to give meaning to things through the definitions and beliefs we have about life. But you are, I wouldn't say lucky enough, but you are blessed enough to be aware of that. You're blessed enough to understand that your definition is actually what colors your life. When most people don't actually know that they have the ability, and I would say even power, to choose which color they want to input on their palette when they paint life. So I think the ability to be aware or to gain more awareness into oneself, into one's responses, and the way that we deal with chaos and those fires can ultimately only bring about more happiness, more peace, and more long-term prosperity in that way. Because, I mean, if you, like Girish says, if you know the punches are coming, it's less so when you get them.
That's a good one, right?
Well, I don't know if it's less so, because sometimes if you know a punch is coming, you can kind of slightly block it.
But if you define it as a punch, then yeah.
Yeah, but
I agree with you.
yeah. So if you get clapped by that punch without knowing, it can be actually. If you get punched and you know it's coming, it's kind of more sore because you're kind of expecting it, you know. But then if you can kind of
adapt in a way that allows you to kind of absorb that shock
and respond, then you kind of can reduce the pain or kind of alleviate or completely eliminate the pain. Yesterday I was feeling pretty dull, bro. I was feeling pretty dull yesterday.
Pretty neutral or just?
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to define this? This is, you know, like, come on, just natural things. But then just put some music on and went and sweeped some tacky on the edge of the beach, and everything was more aligned. And today I woke up and the weather was absolutely phenomenal. So I think it could be a consequence of that decision from feeling a little bit under the weather to all of a sudden having the choice and deciding, you know what, I'm going to elevate myself in a certain way. And then went and had a rapid dance. And maybe the universe rewarded us today with pristine weather.
You followed your excitement.
Indeed.
In that moment.
Indeed.
And you shifted to Earth where that weather was
existing. Where the weather was existing. Chaos theory. Just probabilities. Add to the probability, and who knows what surprises will manifest. That's what makes it so exciting, I suppose.
So true.
That's interesting. Skipping the punches. I would say yes. I mean, the more you become aware, like the two of you were saying, the more you become aware, you can actually feel things are going to get bad. So you can actually skip a lot of things. But sometimes things are thrown at you, right? Yeah. Like you could be talking to a friend, and then you get a phone call that someone very close to your family is going to die. I mean, these things happen. So I was thinking about those things actually, but in terms of day-to-day business or you're meeting with people, you're going to work, sometimes you feel things are going to get bad, and then you take action so that they don't get bad. For example, you get a very nasty email, you don't respond to it in an aggressive way. You calm things down, you focus on what you need to answer.
So true. I think that speaks a lot to integrity and responsibility. A lot of people will shy away if they can feel, from my perspective, and it's probably completely wrong, but that's just my perspective, so it's right for me. But a lot of people will, when they feel, and the only reason I can say that is because I'm one of those people at times, or was, and definitely have been working on that. But when you can feel something bad is, well, we define as bad, but a challenging situation is arising, right? Like an email from a colleague or something that could, turn out into an all-raging fire if you respond in a particular way, but it can also turn into a frozen lake if you respond in another. So having the ability to take your time before responding, calming yourself down and taking a breath like Damien just did, and then finding the most empowered way to respond to this with the utmost integrity and responsibility to empower both of you, not just you, but both of the parties involved. And that obviously can be taken as an example for anything else in life, not just an email from a colleague, but really having the ability to take responsibility for anything that arises, to me, is the best way to deal with what arises. Is to just take ownership, just own it. It's coming in reality, you own it. You take
a deep breath and just kind of see how this can be benefiting me in a positive way, so that it feels just maybe, even if it's slightly a little bit more positive, or just feels a little bit better. Because if we react straight away, initially panic, respond, then sometimes we respond in a way that just makes that
regret it 5 seconds later. It's too late.
Exactly. So sometimes just taking that deep breath and just asking yourself, okay, how is this? What is the positive in this? Where's the silver lining? Ask yourself the question, take a deep breath. There's no silver lining, but I've taken a deep breath.
So that's a silver lining.
So that's a silver lining.
I mean, just quickly, that example, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, the extreme of that, if you think about it, is if you are prone to responding immediately in a rather harsh way, if you look at the consequences of that, if you're in a bar and someone approaches you and knocks your shoulder and you bitch, you bitch, and then they punch you and you punch them and you just end up to touch their temple and they fall on the ground and die.
Court, jail, next level.
That's just 5 seconds.
Chaos.
Ruined your entire life. That's chaos. So just take a pause, my friends. Don't respond to things just immediately. Yeah. Just take responsibility as well. You know, if you had to take responsibility to the person that just knocked your shoulder, you'd actually be, hey, maybe that's someone I need to speak to. Maybe he has a clue that unlocks something in my reality. You know?
And I think that's an analogy is like MMA, for example. And how we link that is that you fighting, you practice, and you get ready to take in those punches. You go for like before a big match, these oaks prepare for like months, get trained to get hit and practice that experience, so that when they are in the ring, which is, for example, the analogy is real life, then they are more, resilient to taking the hits, to respond better, to be able to continue being calm, so that they can not get slaughtered in the MMA ring. So that's why I think, like in life, it's good to just practice being able to respond in a way, observe oneself, go within, see what triggers you, what annoys you, and just kind of spend some time with yourself to refine that. So, and ultimately that will lead to an individual experiencing a more peaceful life, because they're responding more peacefully to whatever situation can happen. As Girish was mentioning, a death of a loved one, or all these things, you have your tools that you can use and you're aware of to incorporate into your lifestyle when these things do happen, and you're kind of more prepared, as opposed to going all wild and chaotically responding and ultimately hurting yourself even more in the process. So
basically, trigger management is an incredible investment.
Absolutely. Trigger management.
Yeah. And also just that together with the awareness, Ashley mentioned about ethics. Is it ethics? Integrity. Okay. I would just say that it's very important to have core values about how we should behave towards other human beings. I mean, why do people need to be rude towards each other? Why do they need to talk in a sarcastic way? I never use sarcasm. I don't need it. But why do we need to use that? It's very hurtful when you think about that. Yeah. So having a good code of conduct, let's say, no matter what happens, you're going to stick to your code of conduct. I think that's what makes us, let's say, the extraordinary human being compared to human beings who are just letting themselves be overwhelmed and do whatever they do, and then feel bad and then repeat the cycle, let's say.
Yeah,
it's very important to have that.
I think it is definitely very important to have a code of ethics and values, and I think that's where integrity comes in, because essentially human beings judge other human beings because primarily they're judging themselves. That's just from my perspective. So if you have the ability to stop judging yourself and you actually practice self-love, it'll be so much easier to love anyone else, that regardless of what they do or choose to do, because you're not used to responding to yourself in a way that's hurtful or judgmental or negative. So the way that you're going to respond to other people is the same way you're going to respond to yourself. So when you make a mistake, or when you cock up, or when something chaotic arises because of your action, you don't not only own it, but you have full integrity in recognizing your involvement in it, and you learn from it. That's the main thing to do, is to actually see what opportunity am I able to learn from this, so that it doesn't repeat in the future, right? So I think being the person that the best person that you can be inside of yourself is the best way to actually go about working with other human beings.
I think people that are generally rude outside or to other people, or respond in a negative way, like that person earlier. So that's generally someone that looks at themselves in the mirror and will be
Sorry.
Someone that will be respond to, like, a person that is rude or reacts in a certain negative way in the world is generally something that will speak to themselves in the mirror in that way. So I think just in a personal lives, you can, if you're speaking to yourself in a negative way in the mirror, that's an opportunity to change that and speak to yourself in a more progressive, positive way. No matter what situation happens, no matter what you've done in the past, no matter how you've treated someone, you can always come back and say, you know what, Damien, Susie, Johnny, whatever you say to yourself in the mirror. See, you called, yeah. Anyways.
I think it's even beyond the mirror, because a lot of it is subconscious. A lot of people will walk around and have thoughts about themselves, because when you see other human beings, it reflects something to them. And on that reflection, they will think a little something, or they'll have a subconscious thought that they're not even aware of they're having, but it's a judgment, and it's self-devaluating instead of self-empowering. So just being aware of those little things.
And an opportunity to do some trigger management. Any person that comes up, however you feel, you can observe yourself as well. Every person has that opportunity to refine yourself, reflection of yourself. So
I can tell you who the best teachers are for trigger management.
Tell me.
Everyone's parents.
Parents.
That's your best teachers right there.
Yeah, if you can sort it out there, you can sort out anything.
Anyway.
From experience, I can agree with that. Yeah. With my whole heart.
Yeah.
But look at it in a very simple way. So it's very interesting to think about it, like we're discussing. But every day I tell myself one thing when I finish meditating. And the thing I tell myself is that, the world is a messed up place. Okay, that's one of my prayer, actually. So it's a messed up place. And my prayer is very simple, actually. And I have the choice to either add to the bullshit which is already happening, or I can make the world better. So it's a choice, and I decide to make the world better. So I treat people I meet throughout my day the best I can possibly treat them. I try to make a difference by being there for the people who I feel may need me. It could be a text in the morning and in the evening if they're going through a hard time. It could be anything, but I try to do that. So I try to make the world better with my presence. And I think, why do we need to add when it's already that bad, when you think about it?
So true. So true. I mean, I have an exact example of that. Probably that happened 4 hours ago. I was driving Richter, and I was in Jinfei, actually. I was driving pretty fast, but not fast.
You always drive fast, actually.
I was just driving, and there was just another street that was crossing in front of me, and I mean, I obviously have priority, but then this huge container truck just saw me, but kept going, and he kept going, and he came, and obviously my reflex is to just press on the brake and press the the hooter just to tell him, hey dude, I'm on my way, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. And the most amazing thing happened. He just looked at me and gave me the biggest smile, and it was a genuine smile. And I couldn't do anything else but to give him a big smile back. And we both stopped, put our window down. He's like, "Hey, dude, sorry, I didn't see you. We truckers, we on the road quite often." And I was like, "Man, I'm just glad you gave me that smile. That made my day. Thank you so much. I hope you smiled to someone else today." So, and funny enough, because just after I saw a post from Richard Branson, that was just a little meme that said, "Make someone smile today." And I think just making someone smile adds great, beautiful things to the world.
And that is the consequence of years of trigger management.
Oh yeah. Especially driving, because my triggers driving used to be, well, maybe sometimes still is, but yeah, it's a good practice for sure.
Yeah. It's the best activity to test how calm you are actually to drive in Mauritius.
Yeah.
The potholes, the
Buses.
motorcycles trying to go on your left,
Yeah.
and the buses and the trucks. Yeah.
So true.
If you don't swear while you're driving, you reach your destination, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did have one day when I lost my shit. Excuse my language. Sorry, but one day, oh my God, I really went into a fit with this bus driver. But anyways, that will always be on my mind. So that was a great lesson. I learned great things from that. So now I don't do that again.
Half the time I'm too busy rapping to realize what's cracking
Triggers.
on the road. But thankfully I always reach my destination. Very grateful for that. But yeah, it's not always been the case. I think when I was obviously younger, I used to get quite.
I think I knew you younger.
You did, yeah, get a little bit more. But I think also after years of trigger management, now I just kind of, I don't see the point to get annoyed really. I mean, I know wherever we are, there's always those drivers that are cuck drivers. But again, they're reflections, and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I'm a cuck driver. I doubt it because I've had quite many years of experience, and so yeah.
It's not me again.
It's not me, it's always them, you know.
There's this for conspiracy theorists and things like that. There's this saying from Illuminati, which is order through chaos. I don't know if you guys know this. Order through chaos. I think that kind of sums up the talk we had today.
Well, what comes to mind when I talk about order through chaos is the roads or the driving in India, because from an objective point of view, it looks chaotic, but in somehow there is some sort of order in that. It's completely order. But when I look at it from the side, I was like, there's no way anyone can drive in here. Maybe it's just an Indian thing in India. But then you enter and you kind of flow in some sort of order, which is, that's interesting to say that.
I watch many videos where you don't have traffic lights and they all cut off their way. No accident.
But that's also similar to music. Like there's some chaotic, like from some people's minds, trance seems chaotic.
Yeah.
But in there's some balance, there's some flow, or Iron Maiden seems like maybe loud and just chaotic, but there's always
music.
There's that center point that if you can kind of align to that, then you kind of in that flow. So
I guess that as human beings, actually, on our evolutionary process, the only thing that makes us evolve is to resolve chaos. If you think about it, scientists, mathematicians, everyone is trying to actually solve a puzzle or solve an equation that there is an answer to, but the only way we can solve it is if it's chaotic first. So I guess we are going on this little blue marble we call home, just trying to solve problems and solve chaos and find an order through it and still live a happy, peaceful, and healthy life.
And align to the observer that is just watching it all, aligning to that, watching it all with a sense of peace and gratitude, and just allowing it all to
as well.
Yeah, takes a bit of bruising, takes a little bit of practice, but I believe that's kind of probably the symbol of Jesus dying on the cross, is completely going into that complete darkness to transcend into what they say God. Again, perhaps.
Order through chaos.
Perhaps.
You say, Girish?
I would say that from my point of view, there won't be any order.
That's a chaotic sentence.
Because chaos is ongoing. But there's chaos theory in math, and it's used to predict in the stock exchange and all that. So there are actually patterns within chaos.
Yeah.
So if you're living a chaotic event in your life right now, you can refer to another chaotic event in your life which happened before, and that's how I get inspired. Usually, I went through that shit and I actually managed to overcome it, and then I use this to get inspired that I will go over that again. All right, and so there are patterns inside chaos, and you can actually use it in a positive way. And one thing we need to realize is we can't escape chaos. It's life. Life is chaotic. If you think about it from a quantum physics point of view, you have all these small particles and each have their own probability distribution. So that in itself is chaos. You know, there's no direction, all going in different directions, and that's how life is. Right now, the three of us were totally different, isn't it? But you can still achieve that. That how do we call that? That state where alignment, exactly. So even if you're totally different, you can still achieve that alignment. And that's possible if you recognize that each is different and don't try to actually make the other person become like you. Okay? I think that's one of the key things. And I think as human beings, we are wired to actually live together and evolve together. There have been some social experiments done where they were expecting the people to fight among themselves. For example, if you throw them on an island, survival, okay? And there were experiments done whereby the people actually got together to survive instead of killing each other to survive. So I think human beings have that ability to actually be with one another. And that psychological concept was once again explored in the Dark Knight. Sorry, I'm just referring to the movie.
I love that.
You've got two birds. In one you've got the criminals, and then in one you've got the civilians, and they each have that remote. They can destroy the other one. And the Joker tells them only one will survive, right?
Yes.
But actually none of them
Wanted to.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
because we have that deep connection as human beings.
That's true. And I think challenges brings people together. And there's some hectic, and that's why I think these times that we're living in, the famous big C, COVID. I think that is a global challenge. So that is interesting that you mentioned that, because it's quite interesting, because that's what we're going through. So the world's harmonizing
and aligning now. And I think metaphysically also, from a point of view, I have that belief that life is all about lessons. It's all about learning. It's all about growing. Until the last breath, you're going to have lessons, right? You can't stop lessons. So to me, I symbolize that with what Girish said, is you can't stop chaos. Because through me, what comes out of chaos is lessons and growth. And so that's very valuable. And so I really do hope that chaos never stops.
Yeah. I think if there's one truth, it's growth. Everything is growing, is changing. And once again, just like chaos, we can't deny that aspect of reality. It's always changing. So those people who think that they want to live forever, that's a fake concept, because everything is supposed to change. And
from one form to another.
Do you guys know the butterfly story? The chrysalis story. So it's a story about struggle. And the idea that when a butterfly or chrysalis is being formed in its cocoon, or when a chenille, becomes a
caterpillar.
So a caterpillar transforms and becomes a butterfly before it goes to the chrysalis phase. And one day there was a guy that was just randomly walking by his house. He saw this chrysalis hanging on the tree, and the butterfly was nearly out. He was like, "Hey, this butterfly is struggling. Let me help this butterfly out," and broke the chrysalis and put the butterfly out, put it on his hands, like, "Awesome, you can now fly free." And after a few hours, the butterfly didn't fly at all and actually died. And the reason behind this is because the chrysalis and the struggle was actually needed to get the fluids inside the butterfly's wings so that it would actually develop properly in order to fly. So in that way, the chrysalis was its opportunity to grow. And if we bypass that, then we don't grow and we die. And I think so recognizing opportunities in chaos and the beauty in it allows us to deal with it in a much more effortless and progressive way.
So if anyone's going through a really dark time, know that you're exactly where you need to be, and you are that little chenille, busy getting all the necessary lessons and what do you get in your body, like hormones and chemical balances to allow you to become the ultimate version of yourself. So laka cracker.
That's beautiful.
And
you don't always need to do it alone, There are always people around you to support you. And that's the other aspect of human beings also. So when you're going through a hard time, and if you actually live a life where you really had healthy relationships with people around you, there's always going to be someone there to give that piece of wisdom. Like you just said, maybe if father or granddad will just say that to the young son, just a piece of wisdom. And
And then that helps the person redefine their situation again, redefine their situation in
Exactly.
just that more positive way, and then to allow that all of a sudden that breakthrough to take place. So yeah, that's awesome.
Beautiful.
Thanks for sharing, guys. This was
Nice.
lovely to be back and connecting with both of you
I think
once
this
again.
could be a monthly endeavor. This could be fun.
Yeah.
Coconut compulsory on entry.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
If Damien allows us to come back.
Always invited. Always invited.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's seeing, but this is truly a magnificent place to be in. Literally, the
It
beach,
is.
sleep on earth, stunning.
Awesome.
All right, guys, great time. We're going to meet next month then, right?
Yes.
At Ashley's.
Yeah. That's,
Planning?
we
Okay,
just flow with it.
3rd of September.
Sorry, man. I'm on my wife's 30th. I'm on Ilosef in the Eco Bubble Lodge. I'm excited for that. Sleep under the stars. But definitely the week after that. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Forward to it, guys.
Sure.
Awesome, guys.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah. See you.